All right. It is episode number 1 of the Coach's Compass. It's your boy, Coach Coop, my boy, Jay, reporting live all the way over here from Europe. Now, as always, subscribe, like, comment. We want to first start off this thing by saying thank you to everybody that voted to help us figure out what we wanted to call this podcast, the Coach's Compass. Each and every one of you guys voted on that one, and that was the one that won. Now the logo with the line and the barbell was another thing that you guys voted on. So thank you guys so much for interacting and voting on Instagram what you guys thought we should call this and what the logo should be. Now, it's always a big question, when you see these new podcasts pop up. Why do we start this? So for us, I guess I just bopped the question over to you, Jay. Like, why do we want to start this?
I think we're basically reading on both sides where I think obviously like building opportunities and platforms just for strength coaches in Europe. Just I feel like it does get very different from America with regards to how we operate and just the environment. To bring through knowledge, opportunities, and highlight, the field of strength and conditioning in Europe.
Right, because the field over here is a lot different than what we're used to in the States, especially when it comes to American football, but all sports in general. When we talk about the little things of speed, strength, conditioning, getting people bigger, faster, stronger, it's a different world over here just because of sometimes the equipment that we use over here is completely different than what we have access to in the States. So we thought that it would be a good chance to give our coaches a platform to speak, share, and engage with one another, and also have a potential of, maybe reaching a new market that they haven't tapped into yet and showing, the pathway it was that they took to navigate to get to the position they're in. Because you got a person like yourself that's been with a program for 8 years. 8 years, right? Something that is unheard of for a lot of imports over here in Europe. You've been with the Fehervar and Throners for 8 years, 8th season. You're now a Hungarian national citizen. You play for the Hungarian national team. And you've seen the Enthroners since day one of stepping over here. And now, I played with you for a short time over there in Fehervar, but I got a chance to see what you guys are working with over there with having your own weight room, having your own fields, having your own locker room, and everything that kind of a football program needs, but not only from just, a field side, but from also having your own facility to use for guys to go work out. So coming over to Europe, what got you into strength and conditioning, and how has it helped you having your own facility?
I guess I'll speak from my journey after college, how it goes for us with either NFL or us, or get a job. With me, I wasn't knowledgeable about, like most people, about football whenever very glowing way here.
That's for sure.
I was finding out through some friends about Euro players, kind of on the website, and there's a case for Hungary, Southeast, a case for Hungary. I had no idea where the better football was. I had no idea. It's funny now, but looking back on it, I feel like maybe I would have made different decisions if I was the one. The team in Hungary, they were very consistent with, messaging me and speaking with me, so I kind of just learned about them. And ended up here, for a season and go back home and, start life, I guess, as they say. Ended up being here year after year. The teams continue to build year after year. From playing from the Division 2 within the rest of the league years, out playing in the National League, the ELF. My first 5 years, there was no weight room, there was one field. Now we have a gym. We have 2 separate fields. We have the overhang for our home field. We have a futsal field on the side just to kind of play around with. We have two full locker rooms. They're really going to put us on this balance on just a lot of development from day one to now. Having every year just development. They wanted a strength coach. I think it was my 3rd or 4th year. He made some connections to try and get Anders Stearns. Anders set up with me for the weight room and kind of laid out the bill for what he wanted the weight room to look like. Especially what he kind of, change sport team sport, strength and conditioning isn't really big here. You know,
Right.
even with the sports that they have, they're lifting that. I mean, the stuff I have over handball, they have their own gym, and they, especially here in this city, they have they usually rent out another community gym. The basketball team I've seen earlier, it was like a plaza. They did all the like they're not really doing outside of conditioning, and that's a hospital team that is, you know, one of the better teams in Hungary. You know, they just really don't care too much for some conditioning. They have the budget to probably compete up. You know, great ass facility. Same thing goes for the soccer team here. Very great soccer team. You know, a lot of they have one rack and a bunch of cables. One rack and a bunch of cables. I'm not here to I'm not here to say anything about that. But yeah, so you know, we come from an environment where, you know, we're laying off our facilities for team sports, and he kind of laid out what the change should look like with the limitations that they need him for space. We have three full hanger strength racks, three GHRs, we got full down the full dumbbell rack from like 2.5 to 50. Well,
Sheesh.
yeah, you know, which is, you know, not easy to come by here, especially with regard to hammer strength.
No, hammer strength is probably one of the leaders in, team gym equipment. And being
100%.
able to have that for your own facility and being able to have access to that every single day since year 3. And you had a head of strength and conditioning coach there before, but now you're the head of strength and conditioning for the whole organization. You know, the whole
And
club
I want to give a
is
shout out. I want to give a shout out to my little Nick fan because he wasn't still my mentor with regards to strength and conditioning. He was a strength and conditioning coach before I even got here. Kind of taught me honestly everything I know with regards to my philosophy, you know, how I program and, you know, where my mind goes with regards to the implementation of things and the sports performance side of things.
So shout out to Nick Fam for kind of laying the foundation for you, but also giving you the platform and the place to work with, because it's not very often that you get a guy and Nick's from the States, I'm guessing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And Nick's from the States comes in and gets the opportunity to fully build a layout of a gym for a whole club. Like that's pretty much unheard of. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't heard that much here in Europe, to where a team just allows you to come in and show what the layout of the whole place should be, and allowing you to go out and get hammer strength to come in and give you guys all the equipment to have things that are stuff that we use on a daily basis, like having 3 full racks, having the GHRs, plenty of dumbbells, lat pull down machines, and you guys also have turf in there.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's something that you don't always see and hear of unless there's clubs that, give you a gym membership that you can go there and work out at. But you guys have the full access for it yourself. Like you don't have to worry about swiping your card to get in or anything. Like
Yeah.
everybody's got the key and all that stuff, and you're giving out all the programs.
Yep.
And then starting out under Nick Pham, how long did it take you before you kind of branched away and kind of not branched away, but you were in charge?
It was kind of like a moment. It was very, I would say, it was very quick. It was very sudden with how he left. He had an opportunity to coach a basketball academy in China, very big basketball academy in China, and it was just an opportunity that I could even pass up. So he taught me everything that I knew up to the point. I was not 10 where I was now. Absolutely nowhere near, right? He kind of told me that, I'll leave the programs and kind of help you out. Usually when he left, it was kind of like we're transitioning in off season. So he had kind of already had like a few phases lined out. What I kind of did was, as I was still figuring it out, I was kind of just like, regurgitating everything he had left. Kind of still texting like, hey, what do you think of this? He had another super pretty much this. I was like, what do you think of this? Like, what do you think of your shit? Well, what do you think of this? And he kind of slowly just started like to let go. And how he is as a mentor, just as a teacher, he was never the type to give me answers. He would also ask me questions. So, to get that, see what my train of thought was, and to kind of ask myself, which I think really helped me with regards to strength and conditioning. And I feel like that's very big in mentorship, where it's just like instead of giving somebody the answers, but allowing them to build their own chain of thought. I feel like is huge. Um, so there's a lot of questions that he would ask me, I would answer. He would ask me a question back. Instead of just giving an answer, which I feel like that will allow me to be able to make decisions and do a lot of problem solving that I don't think I would be able to do if it weren't for that.
So,
Yeah.
so alongside that, like, you're still playing currently, and on top of that, now you became the head of strength and conditioning for the club. What was the transition like? But also, what got you interested to even want to do that?
I think by proxy, like a lot of us that go into strength and conditioning, like everybody, you're lifting. We're all lifting. We all kind of enjoy the lift. You have to enjoy it, right? So, when I was in college, I was kind of diving into sports, sports science or exercise science. And I was always saying, I had really good relationships with my strength and conditioning coaches. Always hanging out with some conditioning coaches after lift. I would always be hanging out with them to set it up with them. They were very helpful with me with my transition from after college to trying to get into the CFL and then NFL. And how it works in college, where it's like once your season's over as a senior, it's like they have no duty to you anymore.
Oh no,
it's like
you're done. Yeah.
Exactly, you're gone. You're lucky. I mean, you're lucky if your strength coach is nice and wants to help you out with combat preparation and etc.
Right.
So I had great strength conditioning coaches that also wanted to help me out, and they gave me a lot of programs. While I wasn't particularly interested in it yet. I didn't have that. I didn't have a particular passion for it yet. But as I mentored under Nick and kind of started doing it more, I just developed a bigger passion for it, and I started my transition then from, I think I still had that. I had a bigger passion for American football, American football, than I did for making a career out of strength and conditioning. And that's my career to continue that I got older, my passion for strength and conditioning. My passion for American football is gone down. Actually, yeah, that's worked out with regards to that.
Yeah, I know, because I mean, all of us athletes have been in the weight rooms, right? And somehow or some way, somebody gets into what we'll just say the fitness world, not just strength and conditioning, but personal training, group fitness, and all that stuff. There is a difference between group fitness, personal training, and actually going into strength and conditioning. Because not only strength and conditioning are you dealing with an individual, but you got to deal with a whole team. So there's a whole different side in knowing how to program for a full team instead of just, program for an individual or just trying to get people to sweat in the group fitness class, right? So being able to learn all that stuff across the board. Because I know for me, kind of getting into, we'll say, the sports performance world, because I wouldn't say that I solely love strength and conditioning. I love more of, specifics in speed, because coming from a state that is solely built on speed, coming from Florida, the fastest state out there. I'll go ahead and put that one on the market for you. Everybody's always so fascinated with it, and I don't think I fully dived into the sports performance strength and conditioning world until my first year in Europe, actually. Because I had my short time in the NFL, got cut a couple times from the CFL. I was back home in Charlotte, from Florida, but I was in Charlotte when I graduated from there, and kind of went back and started, training the general population. But that first time there, I started a company with some friends called QC Works, trained our first athlete for his pro day, which was one of our college teammates. What I did then is not what I do now. You know what I mean? Because there's so much stuff that I had to learn, because all I was trying to do was whatever I did for my NFL Pro Day Combine with Matt Gates down at what it was as Fit Speed, and now XPE. I try to replicate that. But I didn't have the same access to the same things that they have down there with the speed gates, with the shred mill, and then the ODMs, the pulleys, all this stuff that they had down there. didn't have access to it, but try to make the best out of what we had.
Yeah.
So then from there, kind of did that with one of my teammates, and we dropped his times a little bit, not as much as I would have loved. Didn't get an opportunity to play in the NFL. Was that our fault? I don't know. Wish I could have done more. Came over to Europe my first year, that like you, had no clue that football was being played over here, which is actually really funny because one of my high school teammates was from Denmark, ended up playing 2 seasons, I think, with me in the States. I was a senior. He was a sophomore. He came back to Denmark and it still kind of followed my journey and everything like that. So after I got cut by the CFL my last time, he called me and asked if I wanted to come over to Europe and play in Denmark. Mind you, I have no clue where Denmark is on the map at the time. I usually love geography, but I had no clue where Denmark was. And I was like, yo, you guys play football over there? Like what's going on? So gave me a little offer and everything like that to come over there and play. And I was like, when am I going to get a chance to go to Europe on somebody else's dime and travel the world and still be able to play football? Took the opportunity and kind of came over and saw how kids were training in season and out of season and everything like that. And they were training like bodybuilders. And I knew from the jump, that's not how you're supposed to train for football. So from there, I kind of picked up the passion again to start training athletes and start kind of studying a little bit more. Spent 1 season up there, went back home for a little bit, kind of toured around, trying to figure out if I wanted to go back to Europe and all that stuff. But knew at that time that it was time for me to kind of start this road down the strength and conditioning sports performance world. And kind of came back and started running with DC9 Fit, helping athletes get to the States, helping athletes, train how athletes should train, and showing them the correct forms of lifts and how to run properly, and run at high speeds, which is, it sounds crazy to us, coming from the States, because we're so like, running is running.
It's ingrained.
You should know how to run. You know what I mean? Like, you should also know how to get in a 2-point stance or a 3-point stance and run. Not everybody knows that, guys. Like, it's different over here. So seeing that stuff was really got me excited to be over here, because I feel like like we have such a specialized niche field to be in that kids need our help. And it's not only just kids, it's also the adults, right? Because a lot of guys go into their seasons and they might not even be prepared for it, not knowing that the injuries that can come from not being in shape or in condition or being strong enough to endure the hits that we take and give, so I think that's what was so important about getting over here and also starting this, because there's a lot of coaches out there. Like, there are a lot of coaches. Like, I honestly didn't know how many of us there are over here until we started this, and we started looking for coaches that we wanted to come on and interview, which we got a crazy lineup of coaches that are coming on that we're going to interview. But there's a lot, and there's a lot that are specializing in certain fields. Like, some guys are really good at, the strength side. Some guys are really good at conditioning side. Some guys are really good at the speed side. Some guys are mixing it all together and finding a way to put it together. And like, I think that's what's so cool, because, we're having the opportunity to talk to guys that, we may not have ever talked to, because that's just our world. It's like football, like, we get into it. We're really good at what we do, but we like, we're not going to talk to anybody else. It's like, how guys are when you go to the grocery store and like, you want to find something, but you ain't going to ask for no help. Like, you gonna keep looking through the grocery store until, well, shoot, I ain't gonna find it, so I'm just gonna go. Right? It's the same thing in the strength and conditioning world. Like, we feel like, we're just gonna bop on YouTube. If we don't find it, we'll figure out a way to get it. But now we have this platform to where we all can share the knowledge and the advice and how to navigate through to get into American football, how to get into rugby, how to get into combat sports, how to get into soccer, because there's so many different avenues that also need our help, right? Like you said, like the soccer club and the basketball club, like, don't put a huge emphasis on strength conditioning, but how much has that ever saved an athlete from enduring an injury, coming back from an injury, or just being a better athlete in general? So that's what I'm super excited about for this podcast, because, like I said, we got some coaches like, and we'll drop some names, Sam Portland out of the UK, Rory Lynn out of the UK. We got Chris Moore out of Germany. We got a couple guests, some special ones from the United States too, coming on, that have worked with some crazy athletes, like some guys that have come on and gone to like gone to the combine and had guys that run like 4.2s, 4.3s, 4.4s. Like, and we're not talking about you pull out your iPhone and your daddy's standing about 10 yards back and he hit stop because he thought you passed the line and gave you a 4.4. We're talking about people that ran the laser times on TV, right? Got the official times of these crazy numbers, benching 225, 20 plus times, like crazy verticals, crazy broads. And that's not the only measurements that are, used to say that you're a great coach or whatever. But like in our world, that is a huge measurement, right? That is great measurements on what you're trying to develop to get these guys to the next level to play in the NFL and earn that big money. But there's also some other measurements in there that we're going to talk about with some of these coaches and some of the games that they've come up with, and then just ways that they've used, what they've had access to be able to make their athletes better athletes. And that's what I think I'm most excited about, is just the stories that you guys are going to hear, and the stories that I think, and the opportunities for people to reach out to one another. Because like I said, I didn't know a lot of these guys, right? But now we're getting connections and having opportunities to see what they're doing at their own facilities and how they've gotten to where they've gotten to. Who are you probably like most excited to kind of reach out to, get on here and have some of our listeners hear about?
Very interested in, honestly, all of them. Honestly, like from Sam Portland was Steve's side, and then we had a pretty good background with regards to who he's worked with in his past. Rory Lynn, I think both of us, I'm not very familiar with combat sports and, what it takes to, improve the performance of a combat sport athlete. And, Chris Moore is very, very well known in Europe. I think, very well known in Europe, and he's also being on my sports side. He has a very interesting history and past that I'd like to hear more about, and his history here in Europe and training athletes, and his fall throughs and his pitfalls and things that he's succeeded in. We have a really interesting lineup with him here.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot of people out there that are ready for this knowledge and want to learn a lot more, because not only for coaches, but for athletes, like we said, I know for sure for me, I'm on the back end of my career. Not even at the back end. I am on my last year of my career of playing football, right? So a lot of guys don't. So it's different here compared to in the States, where there's not so much, like you said, NFL or bust, right? I was very much a guy like that. I was like NFL, CFL, or like, I don't know what's going to happen next. But there are avenues that you can go down for afterwards or after football. And you can start planning that now. You can start working towards it. You started working on it year 3, year 4, right? I started working on it after year 2, and it's just about building up that network, building out a connection. And the more you can learn now, the more experience you can get now, I guarantee you guys, the better off you're going to be. Because I know for myself, like I said earlier, the stuff I did 5, 6, 7 years ago is not the same stuff I do now. Right? Yeah. It's not to say what I was doing then was bad. It's just I've had to find a way to make it better. Right? And as athletes, right, you always want to get better. It's the same thing for us coaches. Like, we're always trying to figure out the next way, or not even the next way, a way to make what we do even better for our athletes and make sure that they're always going out there and performing at their best level every time they step on the field. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. You can measure all those 40s, the 5.10.5s, the verticals, bench press, all that stuff, right? But if you're not able to turn that stuff around and put it on the field, then it really doesn't matter, right? So now we're going to talk to people on how they go ahead and correlate all that stuff to people's different sports. Like you said, combat sports, we're talking football, we're talking soccer, we're talking rugby, even handball. I know another one that I'm super excited about, haven't scheduled a time yet, is Cece. She's out of California. She's worked underneath Les Spellman. If you don't know already, go ahead and look up Cece, but also look up Les Spellman. These people are crazy in the fitness world. What they're doing with speed, woo, it is wild. Because we take a lot from it ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, those are some people that we look at. I've got a big shout out to my boy Matt Gates and Tony Villani down at XPE. They have showed me every and anything on how to develop speed. But most importantly, I also want to give a big shout out to, for the 2 years that I did spend back in the States trying to figure out what I was going to do next and how to get better in the sports performance world. My people over at D1 West Nashville, if you're ever in the Nashville area, go ahead and check them out. Go ahead and get a workout in over there. They're opening up their new facility, D1 Murfreesboro, too, which is right outside of Nashville. But big shout out to them. Joe, Annie gave me the platform to be who I wanted to be, but also be able to learn. Sent me down to XP a couple of times to learn from them and also be able to bring this stuff back to D1 to implement with my athletes, and now, bring it back to Europe and trying to do as much as we can. So big shout out to them and thank you guys. So for everyone that tuned in, thank you again, as always. Thank you for voting on what we want to call this, the Coaches Compass. Thank you for voting on the logo. Go ahead, hit subscribe, hit like, comment, and please tune in to these next episodes coming up, because we're talking post-game soreness. We're talking programming. We're talking combine training. We're talking nutrition. And we're talking to some high-level people in this industry that you can learn from and also start to network. So that is episode number 1 of the Coaches Compass, and we're out.